Hi, everyone. Mike White here. Welcome to this week's vlog post. An amazing week of information, numbers, momentum. A lot of people wanted to go through the analytics of what's going on and why. I believe last week we had a conversation about how I felt the bond market was trying to improve, and I think it's still fighting like hell to get itself going in the direction that it believes it needs to be, which is, something that I've thought about for quite some time, that we were going to see some improvement in the bond market. And all the data on Tuesday and Wednesday, along with a lackluster 10-year Treasury auction, still couldn't keep the 30-year 5.5% coupon from fighting really hard to get back past its 200-day moving average once again, which I think is a really important factor. Make no mistake about it, I'm not trying to say that we're going to see a huge move, lower in yields in the bond market, but I do believe this is a process, and I think there's momentum here for prices to improve, for rates to go lower, and I think a lot of that has to do with the way people look at numbers, how they calculate numbers. Much of the data is compiled on a year-over-year basis. And as you remember, it was March of last year when the Fed started raising interest rates. It was June of last year when we really started seeing the mortgage industry being impacted and rates starting to go higher. Well, and we also saw activity fall off, as we went through the summer and into the fall of last year. So I want you to be patient, but I want you to be prepared for the fact that, the old data from the first half of last year is falling off the books month by month. So when they're comparing these things, when they're comparing the numbers, whether they be, what inflation was, what rates were, with, what was going on in the bond market, even in housing, whether we measure on a weekly basis, mortgage applications, and all of this information is looked at year over year. Well, the first half of last year was pretty solid, and you're still comparing against those numbers, and so it's not easy to look at the numbers that we're seeing today and really see how much better they are and how they're trying to move forward. If your normal analytics just tell you we're going comparing numbers year over year, what was it then? What is it now? And I think it's important that you're starting to see this. And so we're going to get last year's numbers as they fall off. We're going to be comparing this year's activity to last year's numbers. And as last year's numbers start to get worse, as they did in, May, June, July, August, September, right through the end of the year, we're going to see that the story gets brighter on paper. In fact, if the numbers that we're seeing right now continue forward, they're going to be kind of impressive a few months from now, as opposed to what people thought were, not necessarily great numbers this week. And I think what happens for you guys is you've got to get out there and you've got to be involved, because let's be honest, we're seeing a steady stream of people coming in and getting pre-approved for loans. I'm seeing pre-approval inventories of buyers that my loan officers are carrying starting to expand, and part of what's stopping people from buying isn't interest rates at all, it's inventory. And the piece is no longer can be ignored is that the first quarter of this year, there is usually supposed to be a pretty big gain in units coming to the market, and that really didn't happen this year. And there could be all kinds of reasons why people are not listing their houses and selling their houses, and that not creating the opening at the beginning of the market. And what we have to start talking about with our people and with our agents is the fact that we've got to pull this thing from the top. And what I mean by that is we've got to make the case for people who own the second and third generation or third tier properties in your marketplace as why is now a good time to sell and to get what they want, either trading up or trading down or whatever the case may be. Because if people in the second and third tier properties are uneasy or unsure of the case to sell, there's nothing for people to buy. New construction is not going to pick up the slack for the number of units we need. So we have to understand some markets, we have to create activity from the bottom. We have to find a pool of buyers who are first-time buyers to help those first-time sellers trade up to what they want. But this time, to me, it's about pulling from the top. I think we can make the case for the top end of the market to understand the opportunity that's out there for them to sell their current home, get what they really want, and make it fit for them in a way that is meaningful, so that those properties become available to the people down the line to start the chain, the domino effect, if you will, of what the market needs to be. So right now, keep saying to yourself, well, I'm expecting rates to improve, and that will certainly gain some traction in the market, and certainly will help with confidence of your people who want to sell now and buy another house. And remember, if those people are waiting on rates to improve, you can always do like a lot of my customers are doing and giving them, a guaranteed refinance within 3 years. If the market improves sufficiently, you'll refinance them. And that's working very well. It's because it's not right now. It's largely not about rates. It's about inventory. Rates are, in my opinion, going to improve in the weeks and months to come. I don't ever think we're going back to 2 again, so let's not even entertain that idea. But the point is, we don't have to get to 2 to make people comfortable with where they were. You've seen it already. We were up in the 7s, came back to the 6s, and we saw a big move for people wanting to get pre-approved. So keep that in mind. It's not about rates. It's about inventory. That's the challenge that we have to put out there. There is inventory out there. Nobody bulldozed down all the houses in your marketplace. It's up to you and your agents and referral partners to get out there and make the case as to why now is a good time for people to sell what they currently own and buy the next thing that they're going to want, need, or use. And as always, if you need help with those strategies, you can reach out to me, Mike at imtcoaching.com. Have yourselves a great week. Take care.